An incredible discovery, how a young man's touch revealed the hidden billionaire everyone ignored. In the sleepy town of Cedar Ridge, whispers of Alex Parker's uncanny ability to transform the broken into something beautiful spread like wildfire. Each dawn, before the sun kissed the horizon, Alex was already hard at work in his father's garage. This wasn't just any garage, it was a sanctuary where dreams and hopes mingled among rusted tools and oil stains. And though the world saw him as just another mechanic, the truth was much deeper. He carried the weight of a family, the spirit of resilience, and a gift for uncovering potential in unlikely places. Every day after fixing cars, Alex turned to a pile of old bicycles. At the local community center, laughter echoed as children, blissfully unaware of life's harsh realities, pedaled joyfully. But one boy stood out, 7-year-old Sammy. Timid and wide-eyed, Sammy clutched the handlebars of a bicycle Alex had painstakingly repaired. The moment Sammy's face lit up with glee was like watching the sun break through the clouds. To Alex, that single smile was worth more than any paycheck. Then, there was that afternoon. A figure hunched in the corner of the community center caught Alex's eye, an elderly man with a weary face etched with forgotten passions. As Alex approached, their conversation sparked like fresh gasoline on a flame. The man, Mr. Jenkins, spoke little of his past, but it became clear he held stories that could bleed life back into the town. With each bike fix they shared, memories flowed, and Alex felt the walls around Jenkins' heart slowly crumbling, but that very connection would thrust Cedar Ridge into an unforeseen storm. As whispers of Mr. Jenkins' past reached every corner of the town, unveiling secrets that rattled the community, Alex felt the tension peak. The economic downturn tightened everything, and pride got tangled with desperation. Cedar Ridge found itself at a crossroads. How could they accept help from a billionaire whose past was riddled with grief and loss? Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As Alex stood in front of a gathering crowd, he felt the weight of their gazes, judgment swirling like the wind. Could he convince them to see Mr. Jenkins as more than a past filled with riches? His heart raced as he prepared his plea for unity, a call for the townsfolk to embrace compassion over prejudice. But inside him simmered a storm of conflict. The truth felt too heavy, the truths about loyalty to family and the need for support tangled in his mind. And just as he stepped forward to speak, a past thought, a pain held close, surfaced. Was it right to separate a man from his choices? Should he share the truth and risk everything, or shield it to protect both a community and a friend in need? With the air thick with anticipation, the final revelation loomed, leaving Alex at a brink. How would he choose to rewrite not just his own story, but those of countless others? Would he find the courage to ignite the spark of transformation within Cedar Ridge? The answer awaited, just beyond the next moment. As the crowd shifted uneasily, Alex's heart pounded against his ribcage. Faces morphed in shadows under the light of the setting sun. He could sense their skepticism, their disbelief like fog lingering around a forgotten morning. But deeper than that, he felt a spark of determination igniting within him. It was time to shed light on Mr. Jenkins, to unravel the ties of fear that bound Cedar Ridge. Listen up, everyone. Alex's voice rang out, raw and earnest. I know many of you aren't sure what to think about Mr. Jenkins. I get it. But I ask you to look beyond what you know. We all have stories, and they shape who we are. I've been working with him, and I've seen a man who deeply cares about this town. A man who can help us. Murmurs rippled through the crowd, skepticism mingling with curiosity. A woman stepped forward, arms crossed, eyes narrowed. Help us? He's a billionaire. What, You think that means he'll swoop in and fix our problems? Nothing comes without a price. Her words hung like a cloud overhead. The truth was bite-sized and hard to swallow. Hadn't they all seen the wealthy come and go, leaving nothing but shadows behind? But Alex was not deterred. He thought of Sammy, of the joy these bicycles brought, and of how the town had suffered. Could they really turn their backs on a possible lifeline? Maybe that's what we're scared of, Alex replied, feeling the heat of passion drown his uncertainty. But what if we take a chance? What if we allow ourselves to be more than the scars we bear? He took a breath, drawing strength from the memories of all the lives he had touched, even in small ways. I believe in the power of potential, in the bonds we can create. Let's meet Mr. Jenkins. Let him show us who he is, not who he was. Suspicion painted the crowd's faces, yet he caught glimpses of reflection, hearts slowly melting against their hardened resolve. They watched him, waiting, weighing their options, contemplating the very essence of trust and transformation. In the background, Mr. Jenkins stood still, small yet large in presence. The crumpled pages of his history threatened to suffocate his second chance, but Alex thought of the stories that could be told and the pain that could be soothed. Mr. Jenkins has seen loss, Alex continued, directing his gaze towards the elder. He knows what it's like to have nothing, to lose everything important. Maybe we can learn from one another. Just then, a deep silence enveloped the crowd. In that moment, the weight of human experience brought parents, children, and neighbors to a mutual plane. Alex felt a shift in the air, like something was stirring beneath the surface. Hope, often buried, began curling its fingers around hearts that had nearly forgotten its warmth. If we close our doors out of fear, he implored, what does that say about us? Cedar Ridge is our home. Don't we deserve a chance to rebuild, to believe again? The crowd's hesitance began to thaw. Eyes softened, expressions shifted. A voice from the back murmured, what if he really wants to help? As Alex met their gazes, a wave of relief surged through him. Maybe they were ready to embrace the unknown. And just then, as he caught a glimpse of Mr. Jenkins leaning in, a flicker of determination ignited in the elder's weary eyes. But before they could grasp the full impact of this burgeoning alliance, a confrontational figure moved through the crowd, dismissive and brimming with antagonism. This is ridiculous! Shouted the man, his presence dominating the scene, challenging everything Alex stood for. What would happen next? Would Alex falter, or would he find the courage to stand firm against discouragement? The storm was just beginning. The crowd shifted again, tension crackling in the air like the first days of summer. Alex felt every pair of eyes on him, like stakes pushing him to respond. The man who had called out stood at the front now, his face set in defiance, an immovable barrier in this growing storm. Alex's heart raced. This was at the moment that could either bring them together or tear them apart. Who do you think he is? The man sneered, his voice loud and harsh, almost drowning out the whispers of uncertainty that had started to blossom among the crowd. Some kind of hero? He doesn't belong here. He's just a rich fool trying to play savior. We don't need him, and we don't need you endorsing him. Every word felt like a punch in the gut, but Alex couldn't back down. He gathered the scattered remnants of his courage, standing taller like a lighthouse against the waves. What we need is a chance, he said, pushing through his discomfort. We've done it alone for long enough. I found hope in him, and I believe he can find it in us, too. What has hope ever done for us? The man shot back. Hope doesn't pay the bills. Hope doesn't fix broken homes. A ripple of unease spread through the crowd. Alex could feel their hesitation, the nostalgia for the way things used to be trapping them in place. Yet he saw something else lurking beneath, an itch to reach for something more. Hope can lead to action, Alex pressed on, sensing the tide shifting ever so slightly. If he offers resources, skills, and a real opportunity to rebuild, then isn't it worth exploring? I'm asking you, let us take a step forward, even if it's small. He caught Mr. Jenkins' gaze. The elder looked pained yet earnest, inviting the world to see the truth behind the armor he wore. Suddenly, inspiration struck Alex. Let us meet him. Not to sign away our futures, he insisted, but to ask our questions and to voice our concerns. We need to feel the weight of his intentions ourselves. As if in response, murmuring swept through the crowd, a flicker of intrigue igniting curiosity amidst the skepticism. Maybe we wouldn't have lost everything if we had listened to each other, a woman whispered from the back, her voice stealing through the noise like a gentle breeze. It was a subtle reminder that Cedar Ridge had always been about community. The confrontational man folded his arms, his bluster cracking, but Alex pressed on. Imagine the possibilities. Together, as a team, we can shape this town's future. Mr. Jenkins can be a part of that, but we have to take the leap. What do we get from staying trapped in fear? The crowd remained quiet for what felt like an eternity. It was as though they were on a precipice, teetering between skepticism and willingness. Alex could feel their breaths held tight, their hopes slowly rising like the dawn. Then, unexpectedly, a voice resonated, stronger than before. I think we owe it to ourselves to at least hear him out, said an older gentleman from the side, his hand raised slightly. The weight of his experience echoed, and one by one, heads began nodding, but just as the tide appeared to shift, the confrontational man stepped forward, his face darkening. You think he will save you? His voice dripped with sarcasm. Wait until you find out the truth. And with that, a thick tension enveloped the air again. What truth could he be hiding? Was there something Alex had missed? The unknown loomed like a shadow over the glimmer of hope. The moment hung like a pendulum, swaying between doubt and anticipation. Alex felt a pang of urgency. Time was ticking, and the connection they needed was teetering on the edge of collapse. Would this turn into an embrace of hope or a spread of fear? With every ounce of determination, Alex prepared to challenge the confrontational man, ready to dig deeper into the truth and protect the fragile trust beginning to bloom. Would Mr. Jenkins' past threaten their chance at change? What was the secret lurking beneath the surface that a simple exchange might uncover? Is there really a truth worth waiting for? Alex called out, his voice breaking through the bubbling tension. Because if we stay caught in this cycle of cynicism, we'll never find out what might be waiting for us. He stepped forward, heart thudding. This was a point of no return. The confrontational man smirked, the corners of his mouth twisted in disdain. What if I told you he's not the guy you think he is? What if I told you he uses people, not helps them? You think he's some saint coming to rescue this town, but that's just romantic nonsense. The crowd shifted again, faces puzzled, some even angry. Alex sensed their doubts resurfacing. This was a setback he didn't want to face. He met Mr. Jenkins' eyes, and in that moment, he caught the older man's unspoken fear, a fear that refused to be silenced by false hope. Okay, Alex decided, voice steady, let us hear it then. What truth do you know? The man hesitated, and the murmurs in the crowd grew louder. I don't have to prove anything to you, he said, but the uncertainty in his voice told a different story. He was losing grip, and Alex needed to press on. Listen, we're not here to fight. We want answers. If there is something problematic about this guy, then let us figure it out. Alex pulled in a breath. Everyone deserves a shot. You, me, Mr. Jenkins, even the guy you're arguing against. Let us not be so quick to dismiss each other. In a town like Cedar Ridge, we should stand together, not apart. The man faltered, his bravado evaporating. In that moment, the crowd noticed too. They leaned in, hungry for truth. Anxiety hung in the air, yet a sense of unity was beginning to stitch itself into the fabric of their togetherness. I don't care if he's a billionaire or not, a woman shouted from the back. If he can help us get back what we lost, then isn't it worth listening? One by one, faces softened, doubts started melting away. Hope began threading through the skepticism. Fine, the confrontational man finally said, voice lower but still layered with doubt. Meet him. But remember, appearances can be deceiving. Then let us see past those appearances. Alex encouraged, relief rolling through him like a wave. Let us uncover whatever it is that's hidden in the shadows. As the crowd began to shift again, hearts slowly warming to the idea, Alex felt a thrill of possibility. Maybe this meeting could be a turning point, maybe it could unite them, spark new beginnings. But just as optimism surged, a sudden cry echoed through the field. Wait! Shouldn't we know what we're getting into? Everyone turned, eyes wide, searching the crowd where the voice had come from. A young girl stood with her hands on her hips, lips pursed in determination. She was right, of course there was still so much yet to uncover. Let us make sure we prepare for this meeting, Alex replied, adrenaline surging through him once more. We need to know what questions to ask, what concerns to air out. We can do this together, as one community. What do we want from him? The air buzzed with newfound energy as people began throwing out suggestions, hopeful, apprehensive, curious. As they brainstormed, Alex's heart swelled. But lurking in the storm of excitement was a dark thought that refused to leave his mind. Was the truth they uncovered going to change everything? Would the glimmer of hope be snuffed out by revelations they never expected? With each beating heartbeat echoing through Cedar Ridge, Alex knew they were one step closer to uncovering the truth. But at what cost? The air crackled with excitement, each voice rising like a chorus in Cedar Ridge. Ideas flew through the crowd, people eagerly sharing what they wanted to ask when they finally met the man who promised change. What about our homes? Can he help us rebuild? A graying man with calloused hands pleaded. Or the jobs that disappeared? Another voice chimed in, urgency crackling in the air. Can he bring our schools back to life? The young girl's voice rang out, bright and clear, cutting through the murmur. Alex scanned the crowd, feeling the weight of their hopes. A few old wounds still simmered, yet the shared longing for a brighter future was undeniable. With each question, the collective spirit of Cedar Ridge felt more alive, like a flame rekindled after a long, cold winter. Let us not just look for answers, Alex urged, the passion in his voice rising. Let us be ready to share our stories. We are the heart of this place. Our struggles matter. What has been lost matters. A woman in the back nodded, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. We need to remind him why he should care about us. We have real lives here. She was right. They weren't just names on a list or faceless statistics. They were mothers and fathers, friends and neighbors. And Alex understood that if this meeting was going to mean anything, it had to be grounded in their shared experiences, painful, hopeful, and everything in between. As the crowd simmered down, a hush fell. Alex could see the determination hardening in their eyes, the unity transforming skepticism into a fierce determination. He felt a knot of emotion tighten in his chest. What if this meeting did change everything? But then that dark thought crept back. What if the truth was more devastating than he could imagine? This billionaire could upend their lives in ways they weren't ready for. The shadows of doubt loomed, but he pushed them aside, reminding himself of the brighter possibilities lying beneath. Okay. We'll meet him. He exclaimed, his voice firm. But let us come together first and decide on our priorities. What's our mission? What do we want to walk away with? Shoulders relaxed slightly as people nodded, breaking into smaller groups. Some gathered for a moment of hushed discussion, while others stood in clusters, sharing stories. The energy was electric, filled with hope. Alex took a step back, watching families and friends rekindling bonds, laughter mixing with serious murmurs. This was it. Nothing felt more powerful than collective actions. Together, they would face whatever lay ahead. Amid the warmth of unity, he spotted Mr. Jenkins standing at the edge of the crowd, a worried frown etched on his face. He approached the older man, who looked particularly concerned. Hey, what's bothering you? Alex asked, placing a hand on Mr. Jenkins' shoulder, trying to share a little reassurance. Mr. Jenkins looked around, then leaned in closer. "I've been through a lot, Alex. I've seen hope turn to ash before. Make sure you protect them. Protect our community." A shadow crossed Alex's heart. The stakes felt high, and as much as he wanted to believe in a miracle, there was an equal threat of devastation lurking just beneath the surface. "Don't worry, Mr. Jenkins. We'll be ready." He stepped back, trying to infuse strength into his words. Just then, a whisper floated through the crowd, a name, nearly lost in the wind but powerful in its resonance. Caden Lockhart. The murmurs rippled through the gathered townsfolk, curiosity dawning on all their faces. "Who is Caden Lockhart?" someone asked, and a collective stirring filled the air. Alex felt a chill run through him. Could this be the name of the man they faced? The path ahead seemed to split into two, one that held promise and one that could lead to betrayal. Whatever they were about to face, it was bound to change Cedar Ridge forever. Would it be the breakthrough they hoped for, or were they barreling toward a painful truth? That question hung heavy in the air, propelling their hearts forward into the unknown. The crowd buzzed with anticipation, each whispered name igniting further curiosity. Caden Lockhart. His name hung like a heavy fog. Alex felt the stirrings of dread creeping back in. Who was this man, and what did he truly want from them? "Let us figure this out," Alex called out, aiming to channel the crowd's energy. "We need to gather our questions. Let's not worry just yet." People began jotting down their thoughts on scraps of paper, pen flies darting like fireflies against the backdrop of anxiety. The more he watched, the more he realized this was not just about a billionaire swooping in to save the day. This was their chance to reclaim their narrative, to stand tall and declare their needs. As conversation hummed around him, Alex caught sight of Lucy, the town's schoolteacher. Her face was fraught with concern. He made his way over. "Lucy, what are you thinking?" he asked, leaning in closer as the crowd buzzed like a beehive. "It's just," she began, her voice trembling. "What if he's just here to make a profit? A quick fix, and then he's gone. Our education system took years to build. I don't want it all to be about money." Her words struck a chord. He couldn't deny the reality. They didn't need a temporary bandage, they needed a long-term investment in their community. "Exactly," Alex said, nodding. "We have to make sure he understands our worth, that we're not just numbers or projects. This is about lives." They paused to share a worried look. Underneath the concern, a flicker of hope bloomed. They could make him understand. They had to. As he turned back to the crowd, he spotted Mr. Jenkins again. The man stood with deep lines on his face, seeking clarity. Alex approached him once more, this time with more urgency. "Mr. Jenkins, I need your perspective," he implored. "You've been around longer than most. What do you think of this Lockhart fellow? Do you trust him?" The elderly man's gaze drifted off into the distance, as if searching for answers hidden in the clouds. "Trust isn't easily given, Alex. Not around here. We've had our share of outsiders. They come with promises, but we never seem to see any results." Alex's throat tightened. Each word he heard echoed with the weight of history. "So what should we do?" "Be ready," Mr. Jenkins whispered. "Stay alert. Encourage the others to be vigilant. It's not just about presenting our needs, it's about standing firm against those who may come to us with insincerity." Nodding, Alex felt a fire spark within. He turned back to the crowd. "All right, everyone. Let us rally around our stories. Let us prepare to be strong and vocal." The murmurs faded into excitement, as voices began rising again, punctuated by laughter and sympathetic nods. They were a collection of stories full of resilience, filled with love for each other and their home, but beneath that spirit, uncertainty still hummed like an undercurrent. Caden Lockhart's intentions felt wrapped in mystery. What did he want? And was Cedar Ridge ready to protect itself from an allure that could lead to its downfall? Just as Alex's resolve strengthened, the atmosphere shifted. A figure approached the gathered crowd. Tall, confident, with a silent power that tugged at the heart. Caden Lockhart was here, and the anticipation turned thick as honey. As the crowd held its breath, Alex felt a chill run down his spine. This was the moment. The truth was just within reach, but would it bring the salvation they sought, or the devastation they feared? The man stood at the edge, his eyes scanning the faces. Time seemed to freeze, and within that silence, a pivotal choice loomed like an impending storm. What would happen when Caden Lockhart finally spoke? The air crackled with tension. Caden Lockhart stepped forward, his presence demanding attention. Alex could see the mix of apprehension and curiosity in the eyes of the townsfolk. Caden's gaze landed on him for a moment, as if acknowledging the heart of the crowd. Then, he began to speak. "Thank you all for gathering here today." Caden's voice was smooth, yet commanding. It rolled over the crowd, drawing them in like moths to a flame. "I know that you have concerns. That's why I'm here. I've heard about Cedar Ridge, its history, its struggles, and its proud community. You aren't just a project to me, you're a lifeline." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. There was a hint of skepticism in their whispers. Was this just another flashy promise from a wealthy outsider? "I want to help," he continued, his tone earnest. "But it's not just about funding. It's about partnership, creating something lasting together. I don't want to swoop in and leave you with nothing. I want to invest in your future, your children's education, your small businesses." Alex could sense a wave of conflicting emotions wash over the gathered citizens. Hope was mingled with doubt, and it created a potent mixture. "Why should we believe you?" Lucy shouted, her voice carrying over the crowd. "We've been burned by smooth talkers before. How can we trust you'll stay?" A silence fell, the weight of her question hanging in the air like a knot in their stomachs. Caden's eyes narrowed as he considered his response. "I understand your hesitance. Trust is earned over time, not bought. My intention is not to take but to uplift. I want to help you share your stories, not drown them out." He glanced around, locking eyes with Lucy as if acknowledging her fears directly. "You are Cedar Ridge. I want to ensure your voices are heard. I want your story to be told by you, not by me." There was a flicker of something in the crowd. Was it hope? Or just a glimmer of skepticism? "Maybe we build something from the ground up," Caden suggested, his passion igniting. "We can host community forums, fund local initiatives. You tell me what you need, and I'll listen. Together, we could create opportunities that last. But I can't do it alone. I need your input, your honesty." Alex felt the tension shift. It was subtle but noticeable. People were nodding, curiosity creeping into the creases of their faces, the edges of doubt beginning to soften. "All right," he called out, trying to seize the moment. "If we're to share in building our future, we need to be specific. What are the real needs in our community? Let us list the priorities. Let us be clear." Caden smiled, a genuine look that broke the ice a little more. "Exactly. Let us build a foundation of trust right here, right now. Share your needs. Let us have some real conversations." As people began to speak up, sharing their ideas, Alex felt the landscape of Cedar Ridge shifting beneath them. Community pride blossomed in each suggestion, each voice marking an imprint in the air. But amidst the growing energy, a small voice cried out from the back. "Why now, Caden? What has changed for you?" The question hung in the air, heavy with challenge and uncertainty. Alex turned, eyes wide, anticipation bubbling inside him. Caden Lockhart was about to answer. His truth might just paint the picture of this complicated partnership. What lay behind that question could either bind them together or tear them apart. Would this newfound dialogue reveal the genuineness of Caden's intentions, or would it expose darker motives lurking beneath the surface? Everyone braced, holding their collective breath for the response that could shift everything. Caden took a deep breath, his expression shifting. The air felt thicker now, charged with expectancy. It was no longer just a meeting, it was a turning point for Cedar Ridge. Why now? He repeated, as if turning the question over in his mind like a pebble. You have every right to ask that, and I want you to know it's personal for me. A ripple of curiosity spread across the crowd. The mention of something personal shifted the mood. Whispers of speculation danced around, perhaps he had a story that would resonate, something to connect them all. I grew up in a small town, much like Cedar Ridge, Caden began, his tone softening. We fought hard for every opportunity, but too often it felt like we were forgotten. When I left, I promised myself I'd do better not just for myself, but for others who felt like they didn't belong. My success came from hard work and a little bit of luck. But it's time for me to give back, to put my hands where my heart is. Eyes widened, and some folks shuffled closer, intent on catching every word. Alex felt a knot in his own stomach loosen. Caden's sincerity was palpable. I've had my share of failures and losses too, Caden continued. I lost my father recently, and it forced me to reconsider what really matters. It reminded me that wealth means little if you don't use it to uplift those around you. His voice cracked slightly, vulnerable emotion surfacing for an instant. The crowd hung on his every word. For the first time, Alex felt a spark of unity. They were all sharing in this moment past struggles, future hopes. My father believed in community, Caden said, his eyes now sweeping across the faces before him. He taught me that true wealth lies in lifting up others. So, I'm here, not just as a businessman, but as someone who wants to build back what we've lost together. A woman in the front began to nod. Others followed, their expressions shifting from skepticism to cautious optimism. The threads binding them together were beginning to weave into something stronger, something real. What if we host a series of workshops? Alex shouted, adrenaline coursing through him. We could talk about education, business, health. Yes. Caden chimed in, his enthusiasm invigorating. Let us tap into the gifts and talents already in this community. We can share skills, maybe even start a mentorship program for the kids. Imagine what they could become. Voices began to rise, excitement intertwining with the air. Ideas sparked back and forth like fireworks. The tension that once held them captive transformed into a chorus of possibilities. But Lucy, still skeptical, raised an eyebrow. And what if we disagree on how to distribute resources? What if some feel left out again? That was a tough question. It pierced the growing optimism. Alex felt a tightness in his chest. Disagreements make us stronger, Caden responded quickly, his voice firm. If we can talk openly, if we can listen, we can find a way. I'll be here, listening. That's a promise. As he spoke, Caden's eyes glistened with determination. But the anxiety still lingered like a shadow, hiding just beneath the surface. Alex could sense it, something inside him raced. Could this truly be the beginning of something transformative, or was it yet another cycle of hope and disappointment? The crowd continued to buzz, ideas piling on top of one another. Yet, within that whirlwind of energy, one thought tightened its grip on Alex: would they actually find a way to keep everyone included? The winds of change were blowing, but as they looked to Caden for reassurance, the weight of their collective hopes hung precariously in the air, waiting for a foundation they could truly trust. And so, with the sun beginning to dip below the horizon, casting long shadows over Cedar Ridge, all eyes turned toward Caden once more. What would he reveal next, and could he truly navigate the complex labyrinth of dreams and fears that lay ahead? Caden gazed out across the crowd, taking in the hopeful faces illuminated by the waning sunlight. He could feel the energy, the anticipation. He drew in a breath, ready to harness it in a way that would resonate deeply with everyone gathered. "Let us take this step by step," he said, his voice steady and reassuring. "Workshops could be our starting point. But let us also find a way to include everyone's voice. I want to hear your fears, your dreams. Each of us has something beautiful to contribute. If we focus on collaboration, we can change not just Cedar Ridge but ourselves too." The energy in the crowd shifted again. A murmur of agreement passed through them, a new layer of trust beginning to form. It was clear that Caden's words struck a chord, resonating within the walls of their hearts. Lucy watched from the side, still cautious, but a flicker of hope ignited in her eyes. Could it be real? Could the community finally work in unison? What about resources? She pressed, her brows still furrowed. How do we keep this fair? I've seen too many projects fail because of unequal efforts. Caden nodded thoughtfully, recognizing her concern. "We'll create a committee," he suggested, "a group that isn't just me or any single person, but a mix of voices from different backgrounds. Together, we can build a fair system that reflects our community's rich tapestry. Everyone needs to feel heard and valued." As he spoke, Alex watched his neighbors stir, their expressions transforming with each word. The hope that had started to bloom was now bursting forth like dandelions in spring. The idea of a committee sparked animated discussions among them. "Yeah," someone from the back shouted. "We can have town hall meetings. Open to everyone." Ideas rolled into action. "I love that." Another voice chimed in. "Let us make it a potluck too. Food brings people together." Soon, laughter punctuated the conversation. The unmistakable sound of community was in the air, and Alex couldn't help but feel electric as possibilities danced around him. Caden encouraged this enthusiasm, nodding as he absorbed their ideas. "Let us get practical, too. Our first workshop can focus on topics that matter most to you: money management, health, job skills. Everyone deserves the chance to learn and grow." The excitement was infectious, but all the while, an undercurrent of anxiety tugged at Alex. While the community seemed to rally together, he couldn't shake his concern. What if they didn't agree on important issues? What if old wounds resurfaced during this process? The ghosts of the past warned him. Trust was hard-earned, yet there was Caden, radiating confidence, and seeking to unlock something deeper in their hearts. "Change isn't easy," Caden added thoughtfully, "but it is possible, and we cannot let fear dictate our future. It's about lifting each other up." From the crowd, Lucy's voice echoed clearer now, tinged with a mixture of belief and challenge. "And you'll keep your word, right? That you'll be here for us?" Caden met her gaze, eyes steady. "Yes, I promise. Each one of you matters to me. I won't just walk away once we get started. Together, we'll weather any storm." The applause erupted, a tidal wave of emotion that filled the space. But amidst the claps and cheers, Alex held on to a sliver of uncertainty. Could Caden truly guide them through this tangled web of mistrust and loss? Just then, the lingering shadows of the sunset stretched long across Cedar Ridge. An unexpected chill rode in the air, a reminder that darkness lingered even as hope surged. And in that moment, he realized they were all holding their breath, experiencing a collective tension that bore weight. Would Caden rise to the challenge and truly lead them through? As the light began to fade, an unexpected silence fell over them, leaving an unspoken question lingering in the air: how would they face the next obstacle that awaited them? The evening sky darkened as the air grew thick with anticipation. Cedar Ridge was on the precipice of change, and as the townsfolk clutched their dreams tightly, they looked toward Caden Lockhart, the man who had sparked their hope. Alex sensed the tension in the air, a blend of anxiety and eager anticipation. He felt like a conductor overseeing an orchestra on the verge of playing its most poignant piece. "We will not rush this," he stated, stepping forward. "Tonight isn't about grand speeches or swift promises. It's about building relationships. Caden nodded, his expression earnest, understanding the weight of the moment. Exactly. Change requires trust and time, and we need to listen to each voice in this room. I want to understand your stories. That is where we start. Murmurs of agreement flowed through the crowd, their hearts beating in sync with newfound resolve. The ghosts of the past were still there, lurking, but they began to lose their grip as openness hummed in the air. Let us form groups, Alex suggested, his heart racing with excitement. We can share our stories and identify the things we need. He glanced at Caden, who returned his gaze with a look of approval. This was it, the spark for Cedar Ridge's revival could ignite within these walls. With energy resonating, people began to cluster, animated discussions bubbling forth like a spring thawing after winter's grasp. Alex moved among them, listening intently to the collective hopes and concerns. And through each shared word, he saw barriers faltering, shoulders relaxing, and laughter replacing skepticism. Education first, called Lucy. Our schools need to thrive for our children to have a future. Yes, piped up a father holding his daughter's hand, and we need jobs that pay fair wages. Not just temporary work, but stable careers. The air grew lively as suggestions flowed: healthcare access, community rebuilding initiatives, youth programs, and small business support echoed in vibrant, articulate voices. As the groups exchanged ideas, Alex noticed Caden taking notes, every word seeming to pen potential futures rather than mere numbers in a ledger. With awe, he recognized the sincerity in Caden's intentions. It was a stark contrast to the underlying doubt that had initially clouded their meeting, but as excitement rippled, Alex felt a knot in his stomach. This was a beginning, yes, but a beginning often comes with the threat of immense change. What if Caden's commitment wavered? Hold on, he called out as enthusiasm surged around them. We are moving at a wonderful pace, but let us remember where we came from. We need to hold each other accountable. We cannot afford to let fears slip through the cracks just because hope feels loud. Silence fell again, the crowd absorbing his words. Respectful nods followed as they considered the truth he offered. Hope held great power, but so did vigilance. Caden stepped forward, ready to affirm this crucial moment. Alex is right, he added, his voice warm yet steady. If we're truly in this together, we have to commit, not just to ideals but to action. To transparency and, yes, holding one another accountable. From the crowd, the gray-haired man ventured forth, and how about a public ledger? There were murmurs of agreement. That way, we can see exactly what is happening with each project, how funds are allocated, and how everyone's voice contributes to the whole. Yes. Caden responded, excitement lighting up his face. Accountability is key. I will ensure that every step will be transparent. Let us maintain a community board to keep everyone informed. As conversations flourished, a palpable energy washed over Cedar Ridge, binding the townsfolk together with excitement. The group discussions soon morphed into collaborative workshops, ideas evolving into actionable plans. But Alex knew, with every flicker of warmth in the room, the shadows of skepticism still lingered. They were still just words until proven true. Weeks rolled by, with the townsfolk regularly gathering to brainstorm ideas. Caden rolled up his sleeves, genuinely engaging and slowly winning hearts. They painted murals, hosted markets, and began the slow but steady path towards rebuilding their community. Yet, amidst the progress, Alex caught himself observing Caden more closely, trying to decipher the man beneath the surface. Was he really there for the heart of Cedar Ridge, or was he the wolf clothed in sheep's clothing? One evening, with the sunset spilling gold across the sky and laughter echoing in the air, Alex found Caden standing by the community board, deep in thought. "How are you feeling about it all?" he inquired gently. Without missing a beat, Caden faced him, eyes earnest. "Better than I thought," he admitted. "But it's still terrifying. I know these walls hold pain. I don't want to be just another chapter of disillusionment for you all. I want to prove that connection matters more than profit." Then let us keep proving it, Alex nodded, relief washing over him. Caden was a work in progress, just like Cedar Ridge. Together, they could redefine their narratives. As laughter carried through the streets of Cedar Ridge, Alex caught sight of Sammy, the same boy who had ignited a passion for renewal, flying down the block on his new bicycle. His laughter rang like music, embodying the hope Alex fought so hard to rekindle. He watched as the boy sped on in innocence, freely and joyfully, embodying the dreams of everyone dedicated to change. Alex smiled, heart swelling with hope. They were all part of this grand journey, stepping into the light of possibility. If Cedar Ridge could come together in unity, holding each other accountable at every twist and turn, maybe they could transform every scar into something beautiful. Perhaps their love was the secret at the heart of it all, paving the way for resurgence, and so it began, threads of connection weaving through their communities, under a sky filled with stars, unwavering in their shared commitment to embrace transformation together. Now, it's your turn. Don't just watch the change unfold, be part of the journey. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories that will inspire you to create your own transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and let others see this story of hope. Comment your thoughts and feelings about this ending. Did it spark a fire in you? Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Together we can inspire change in every corner of our communities. This is the moment to show your support. You need to subscribe now and spread the word. Don't wait not even one more second.